Okay, so let's start on time. So just to repeat, you might want to have 1 or 2 towels when we do lie down, just so it can help to support our back and maybe to support your head. Okay, usually 1 might be enough, okay, but it might be more comfortable for some people to have something to support their neck and head as well. Okay, so we just loosen up a little bit. Okay, so maybe we can just still do a light march, okay, just to get our blood circulating a little bit. Okay, while we talk about kind of review a few things. Okay, so we still want, when we talk about posture, we're talking about kind of 2 things. We're talking about the kind of the endurance of the extensors muscles, okay, the muscles that help us to go to kind of expand our body this way. Okay, so usually that's all the muscles that we can't see in a mirror. Okay, so kind of muscles of the neck, the mid back, and also the low back, and also even the hip muscles. Okay, so that's the first part. So those are the muscles that we want to specifically target. Okay, so and secondly, we're talking about kind of control of the body. Okay, so usually, let's say when people hurt themselves when they're lifting something heavy, they might not be doing it in the most efficient or advantageous position for the body. So they might, for example, the kind of classic way of some people herniating their backs is when there's lifting something heavy, their back suddenly get too tight or give up, and then suddenly the spine almost buckles. Okay, or when you're lifting something, they instead of lifting with a straight back, they are kind of almost dragging their spine up that way. Okay, that also puts more load on certain parts of the spines, which might be can be a problem for some people, especially if you have things like osteoporosis, okay, or more fragile bones. Okay, so we are trying to train the muscles in the back, okay, and also just be more aware of how we're moving our body, especially kind of our spine. Okay, so let's review the hinge position again. So when we're lifting or doing anything heavy, we're still talking about a longer spine. Okay, so when you find just a thumb going to just any of your ribs, okay, and the other fingers can be just below. Okay, so if you start to round your back, if you try to start to twist your spine, you're going to feel clothes kind of moving underneath. Okay, so your goal, kind of the practice we're looking for is that can we move our limbs, can we move our body while maintaining the most advantageous position for our spine. Okay, so for example, picking something, moving up and down from the ground, it could be kind of bending over like this, it could be squatting where our body is more upright. Okay, spine, we still want it to be longer, and maybe slightly wider for the shoulders. Okay, so let's practice. So find the ribs, fingers just anywhere below. Okay, and see if you can just kind of maybe look up and down, okay, without feeling too much movement in the beneath your fingers. Okay, so okay, the natural kind of tendency maybe would be to almost kind of round, kind of spine and hips around at the same time, so you can feel your fingertips getting closer together. Okay, but see if you can just learn to control it so that you are still pushing hips back. Okay, but you don't feel too much movement in the spine area. Okay, so people can lift very heavy things when they're rounded. So for example, if you the strongman competition where they lift a heavy stone, the spine is rounded, but the difference is that they don't suddenly move their spine. Okay, so some day-to-day activities, we need to round our back. So if you have a baby crib, there's a bar here, you are going to have to round your spine. Okay, it's just that when we're lifting something very heavy, kind of doing something for a very long time, or doing something where we need to go to, if we need to go to the very flex, okay, we have to be a little bit careful. Okay, so when we don't need to, then we can see if we can just maintain this taller posture and maintain it even if we're doing other things. Okay, but once again, we're not trying to move around like a robot. Okay, our spine can move, can rotate, okay, but it's just that in certain situations, we just have to be a little careful. Okay, so let's go into the rotation. So same idea. Just see if you can just turn your body, okay, without feeling the movement beneath your fingers. Okay, so kind of like shoveling snow. Hopefully we don't have to shovel snow today, but some people usually we say use your feet, not your back, because we're trying to avoid that too much of a twisting motion. We want to, when we can, turn as well in terms of lifting heavy things. Okay, professional sports are a little different. When we're throwing something, we are going to be using this rotational force. Okay, but for this class, see if we can just almost turn without feeling the twisting motion. So we can be more aware of what spine is doing. We can separate our spine motion from our hip motions or arm motions. Okay, so kind of keep that in mind as we go into this kind of lying down position. Once again, most of the time, for most people, you don't have to be this conscious of how you're moving. Okay, unless you have very, very bad osteoporosis, then yes, you might have to be this careful. For most people, even if they have even a mild osteoporosis, you probably don't have to be kind of setting a spine like this and not moving it. Okay, so just go to a level that's appropriate for you. Okay, but for practice, we are going to try to be this conscious of what our spine is doing. Okay, so just moving up and down from the ground. Okay, so you are just going to see if you can move down to the ground. So I'm going to hinging. Okay, I'm still trying to keep my spine in a good position. Okay, I'm going to keep my stronger leg up. Or sometimes you can intentionally just practice with your weaker leg as well. Okay, up to you. Okay, but my goal is to see if I can consciously keep my spine in still a relatively good position. So just think of taller through the spine. Okay, while I move into kind of a quadruped position. Okay, and maybe let's practice a little bit. Okay, so the ability to move up and down from the ground is actually something we should practice as we get older while we are still able to. Of course, be careful of your knees. Okay, use your arms for support as much as you need to. Okay, if it's way too much for you, just maybe do it once and that's fine. Okay, but see if you can just be more conscious of your spine, what your spine is doing. Okay, while moving into our quadruped position. Okay, so I probably need to move my camera later, but for now, I'm going to keep it here. Okay, so let's spend just a little bit more time here. Okay, so if it's very uncomfortable for you at any point, if something feels painful, just kind of skip it or just rest in any position that you find comfortable. Okay, but here, let's just try to lengthen the spine again. So kind of very gently see if you can maybe round your back slightly and see if you can think of pushing the top of your head that way. Okay, pushing your tailbone the other direction. Okay, meanwhile you're putting a little bit of pressure through the hands. I forgot the last thing about posture is so we sometimes can also refer to our bone health as well. So our bones is a kind of living tissue. If you don't use it, it's going to get weaker as well. Okay, so usually we don't put a lot of pressure in the head through our wrist bone as we get older. That's why people can't break their wrist very often, because our natural tendency, if we do fall or lose balance, is to reach out and grab something. Okay, and usually our wrist takes the first blow. Okay, so you can just apply a little bit of pressure, just rock back and forth on your hands. Okay, just as much as you can tolerate, I guess. Okay, so maybe slightly uncomfortable, but not to the point of pain. Okay, and see if you can drop your shoulders away from your ears. Okay, and then try to drive your wrist into the ground a little bit, so you might feel a little bit of tension in your ribs area as well. Okay, so this is putting a little bit of pressure for the wrist a little bit of a stretch as well. Okay, if it's too much for you, just kind of move your hands a little bit further in front so there's less pressure bending our wrist backwards. Okay, so now we are going to just do one more before we go into the lying down position. Okay, we're going to do a bird dog. Okay, so we talk about the stability of your body. Okay, so imagine there's a bowl of water behind your pelvis or behind your back. Your goal is to, so you might want to move your hands a little bit closer first. Okay, your goal is to be able to move your leg out. Okay, so it could be just tapping the floor. Okay, without kind of dropping that bowl of water. Okay, so so let me just grab maybe a stick. Maybe that'll be more obvious. Okay, just give me a second. Once again, feel free to change position if it's too much for you. Okay, so I have a stick on my back right now, so it's kind of balanced. I'm going to try to balance it. Hopefully you can see. Maybe I'll turn this way. Hopefully I won't drop the stick. Okay, so my goal right now is, can I control my body while moving my limbs? Okay, so I'm going to move one leg. So my leg, you can see my leg is kind of out here. Okay, and the stick is just fairly still sitting on my back. Okay, and if you feel comfortable, maybe a little harder on your hands. If you can reach, kind of not necessarily too high up, just think of reaching further away. Okay, and that's also going to put more pressure onto the other hand as well. Okay, so some pressure is not bad. Okay, just not to the point of pain. Okay, just to a level that we can kind of tolerate. Okay, so maybe just do maybe 1 to 3 times per limb. Okay, so see if you can. Don't think of lifting it up so much. Think of just reaching away from you, I guess. Okay, while keeping your back in a stable position. Okay, if you're more comfortable, you can, of course, lift it up as well. The hands probably a little bit harder, so just do it to your own comfort level. Okay, if you really want to try, you can try to do one arm and one leg. Okay, so it could be, it's probably easier to be opposite arm and leg. Okay, shoulders probably getting a little tight. So feel free to stop at any point. Okay, and so sometimes like at this position, so sitting back into your butt might be the more comfortable position, resting position. Okay, so that's part of the stability that training we're looking for. So being able to move our limbs without kind of twisting or losing control of our spine. Okay, so let's get into a more comfortable position. Okay, so let's go into a lying down position. So you can kind of go onto, so maybe sit back onto your hips, onto your elbows. Okay, so that you can kind of move your hips, your legs out, back. Okay, and maybe you can spend a little bit more time here first. Okay, so you can relax the shoulders for a second. Okay, but when you feel comfortable, see if you can drive your elbows kind of into the ground. Okay, and your shoulders away from your ears a little bit. Okay, and you just came from my breathing class and kind of practice your breathing here as well. Okay, you will find it's very difficult to chest breathe. You have to use almost your belly breathing. Okay, because our chest is kind of locked in place. Okay, and when you're ready, you can just kind of slide yourself with one arm out. Okay, so this might be a little bit harder part. Okay, see if you can rotate. Just once again, pay attention to what your spine is doing. You probably want to use one arm and one leg to help. Okay, see if you can rotate your body in one piece. Okay, so what I mean is that if I'm not trying to not twist my spine through my upper body or lower body, you can see if you can move your shoulder and your hips kind of at the same time, okay, until you are in lying down position. Okay, you can also practice, so maybe we can practice a few times. You can try to see if you can rotate back. So you probably want to have one leg up, okay, and even the elbow there, and you try to push. See if you can move your hips and your shoulders at the same time. This arm is going to be out of the way probably. You see if you can rotate it in one piece, or mostly one piece, and get back to a lying down position. Okay, you can practice kind of both ways. So move your hands, move your knees. Okay, see if you can push your arms and legs at the same time. Okay, so your body is rotated mostly as one unit instead of the upper and lower body kind of twisting at different rates. Okay, and kind of the opposite direction. Okay, so practice this a little bit. Okay, while I move the camera to a slightly different angle so it's easier to see. Okay, so maybe just practice rotating side to side just to your own comfort level. Okay, but the goal is see if you can rotate your upper and lower body closer to being in one unit. Okay, so forgive me if there's making no noise in the microphone. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, so hopefully that's better. I'm going to try to elevate that a little bit. Okay, hopefully this is clear. Okay, so now we're going to go just back to kind of what we did last time. So we're going to go into kind of the neutral position. So that's just knees up. I forgot to ask everyone to bring their towels. Okay, but if you want, you can put something just beneath the low back and also maybe behind the neck. Okay, so if you find it's your head is really arching up, so you have to kind of look that way to get your head to rest on the floor. Have something to support your head. Okay, have a little bit of just beneath your low back. So if you don't have anything, you can always use your palm. Okay, but for most people, it's more comfortable. You have something kind of maybe a palm width to 2 palm width just beneath the low back area, so we maintain the curvature in this one. Okay, just to check I'm still in frame. Okay, so let me know if you it's hard to see. Okay, so I'm gonna just stay here for a second. Okay, while we're doing this, okay, we are just trying to open the shoulders and the hips. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with just the legs again. So we're gonna slide it out. Okay, as you slide your leg out, see if you can still maintain contact of your low back to the towel. So if you find that you have to kind of arch your back to get the leg out, you might be very kind of stiff in front. Okay, see if you maintain just a little bit of pressure. You're not doing it very hard. Maintain a little bit of pressure on your low back to the towel. Okay, while you slide the legs out. Okay, usually one at a time is easier to manage because the other leg is supporting your pelvis. Hands can be just kind of resting, usually palms up, or just any position that's comfortable for you. Okay, we're going to do something similar with the shoulders. Okay, so we're going to make a snow angel. So you're just sliding your hands on the floor, kind of go as far as you feel comfortable. Okay, once again, maintain a little contact between your low back and the towel. Okay, so if you're very tight for the shoulders, you might start to arch your back in order to get your hand overhead. Okay, see if you can limit that a little bit. So only go as far as you feel comfortable. If you want, you can put something on top of your hand or beneath your hands here, so you can kind of still kind of rest your arms on whatever you have. Okay, but we're still maintaining that kind of what we call neutral spine. Okay, and we're just kind of letting gravity kind of stretch out our shoulders a little bit. If you have any pain, maybe avoid that area, okay, until you can get that resolved for a physiotherapist. Okay, so I'm a little tight, I feel a little tight, so as I bring my arms out, I can feel that I want to arch my back a little bit more, so I'm just being a little more conscious of this. Okay, and maybe just find a position that you feel a little bit of tension, not too bad. Okay, and we just hang out here a little bit. Okay, and kind of reach out the opposite way and think of just reaching your fingers kind of above your head, I guess, or in the direction of your head. Okay, and you're going to drive heels out in the opposite direction, kind of stretching out your body a little bit. Okay, take a breath in, breath out. Okay, so if you want, you can do it kind of one side at a time. So maybe something like this. Okay, so I'm trying to reach in that direction with my fingertips. I'm trying to reach my heels towards the other direction. Okay, I'm just still kind of pay attention or just be more aware of what my spine shape is like. Okay, so maybe just 1 or 2 more times. Okay, so our shoulders and the hips can kind of affect what the spine is doing. Okay, most people are a little bit too tight through their hips and their backs and their shoulders. Right. Okay, so let's go into the 3 kind of exercise we kind of did a lot of last week. So that's the head press, the shoulder, spreading our shoulders, okay, and then kind of heart up to the ceiling. Okay, so let's start off the head press first. Okay, so you're still looking, so remember you're not looking, you're not rolling your eyes upwards, you're looking kind of probably straight up towards the ceiling. Okay, and you're going to maintain that kind of your gaze. Okay, and you're just trying to press your head into the ground like you're trying to imprint the shape of your head into the ground. Imagine maybe you're lying on the beach. Okay, we're going to hold here, make sure you can still breathe for 3, 2, 1. Okay, and kind of relax. Okay, we're going to do 5 seconds this time. So once again, still looking up and you're not arching your neck. Okay, you're trying to put your head in line with your shoulders more or less. Okay, so resting and press your head to the ground. Okay, and most kind of 50% effort. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and relax. Okay, maybe take a breath in and out. Okay, one last time for 7 seconds this time. Okay, so pressing a hand to the ground, making a double chin, holding for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay, so imagine if you're setting up, I'm just trying to avoid kind of this head forward posture. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure my head is stacked on top of my shoulders. Okay, so that's kind of learn to engage the muscles of the neck. If your back is starting to feel a little bit sore, uncomfortable, you can play around with the towel to see what works better for you. Maybe turn something side to side sometimes can help people be more comfortable as well. Okay, so second one is a shoulder press, or I usually like to refer to as a wide spreading your shoulders apart. Okay, so I'm not trying to jam my shoulders in the ground. I'm trying to cover more of the ground with my shoulders. Okay, so I'm trying to make it, I am lightly pressing it towards the ground, but I'm also trying to spread it apart a little bit. Okay, so we're going to do this together with the head press. Okay, so at the same time, at the shoulder press, you're going to also do a little bit of head press. Okay, so press, shoulder wider or shoulder press, holding for 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, and relax. Maybe take a breath in between. Okay, I'm going to do it second time for 5 seconds. Okay, so head press, spread your shoulders, spread your wings, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and relax again. Okay, breath in, breath out. Last time for 7 seconds. Head press, spread the wings, holding for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, and the last step we kind of practiced last time, we'll talk about is the kind of almost a chest raise. You can think of it that way. Okay, so the important thing is we're not trying to arch our low back. So we're not trying to kind of push our stomach out. Okay, so we still maintain a little bit of contact with the towel of your low back, but try to almost bring your chest bone kind of diagonally up, kind of that way. Okay, and you should, as you do that, you almost feel kind of your mid-back muscles tightening a little bit. Okay, it's a little bit hard to control. It's a small motion. You can also think of the area between your shoulder blade in the back. You almost imagine trying to lift it off the ground a little bit. Okay, but you're not doing that by lifting your low back. You're trying to lift just the mid-back off the ground. Okay, so kind of play around, just explore, see what that feels like. Okay, so once again, we're going to combine all three together. So probably, so a little bit of head press, spread your shoulders apart, lightly press it towards the ground. Okay, see if you can just get the area between your shoulder blade off the ground a little bit. Your chest bone is going to move kind of that way a little bit. Make sure you can still breathe in and out. Holding for 3, 2, 1. Okay, and relax. Okay, so similar idea, this time holding for a little bit longer. Okay, so still head press, shoulder press, chest raise, low back is still in contact with the towel. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, full breath in the nose again. Okay, take as long as you need to in between. Okay, last time, let's do it for 7 seconds this time. Okay, so head press, shoulder press. Lift that area between your shoulder blade off the floor a little bit, just a minute amount. Okay, low back is still in contact with the floor. You can still breathe in and out. Holding for 7 more seconds. So 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so it's a very small motion. You might have to kind of practice a few times to see how that kind of feels like for you. Okay, so next we are going to do just learn to control our abdominal muscles, trunk muscles as well. Okay, so the way we teach kind of practices, some people think of training abdominal muscles as just kind of doing kind of crunches. So that might not work for everybody. So if you have very bad osteoporosis, we want to avoid kind of doing this too much. Okay, so and it's not the only way to train our abdominal muscles as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to do what we call a dead bug exercise. So you can think of a dead bug as something that's kind of back, hands kind of flying in the air. Okay, so what we're going to do is that the goal is to still maintain contact of your low back to the towel. Okay, once again, you don't have to press very hard, but you're not just going to avoid kind of letting it go away, kind of the contact. Okay, so what we're going to do is going to just lift one leg off. Okay, and maybe just kind of march. Just do a little bit of marching first. Okay, and you can have your hands on your belly. Okay, as you lift your legs, you should almost feel like your belly muscles kind of tense up a little bit. Okay, partially because your body wants to rotate side to side because it's not symmetrical right now. Okay, the weight of your legs is also dragging it kind of this way as well. So that one's have to work a little bit to control that. Okay, make sure you can still breathe in and out. Okay, it might be a smaller breath than what we might usually do. Okay, but try to see if you can maintain contact with the towel with your low back. Okay, you can kind of practice a hip press, shoulder press at the same time if you want to. Okay, so pause for a second. Now I'm going to make this a little bit harder. Okay, so you can still maintain a little bit of contact with the towel. You're going to lift one leg up. Okay, and then the other leg up. Okay, so automatically if your belly, it should feel like it's a little bit tense up already because your legs want to go back there. Okay, and your abdominals have to work a little bit to fight it. We're using the towel so that we're maintaining that gentle curvature of the spine. Okay, so now we are just going to gently drop one foot down. Okay, so pay attention to what your spine is doing. Some people might prefer to even rest their hands on the ground, so it's just so the arms can help a little bit. Okay, so up to you. You can do it this way or this way. Okay, but just see if you can tap the floor. Okay, while maintaining contact with the towel in your low back. Okay, a lot of people at this point might want to hold their breath because it can be a little bit challenging. Okay, but see if you can still make sure you can still kind of breathe in and out. The front of your hips might start to feel a little bit tired. Okay, because we're not kind of used to using it this way. Okay, if it is easy for you, you can try to kind of reach further away. Okay, so you can think of your legs being further away. So anytime you hold something further away from your body, that is gets heavier because of leverage. Okay, so your goal is still trying to maintain contact of your low back to the towel. Make sure you can still breathe in and out. Okay, and maybe stop at any point you feel like you had kind of enough. Okay, so once again, maybe shaking things out a little bit. Okay, we're just going to do this maybe 1 or 2 more times. Okay, so we're going to give maybe the legs a little bit of a break first. Let's try to do something similar to arms. Okay, so usually it's easy, of course, with the arms on the floor because your arms can support your trunk. Okay, but let's try to do this. Okay, so once again, just see if you can lightly, so this time you lightly, very gently just press your back into the towel. And we're going to do something very similar. You can think of this as more of a shoulder stretch. Okay, so we're going to try and maintain contact with the towel. Okay, while reaching up. Okay, I can feel I'm a little bit more tight for the shoulders today. Okay, maybe even try both arms up. And once again, see if you can maintain that little bit of contact, a little bit of pressure. Okay, make sure you're not holding your breath. You can still breathe in and out as you reach up. Okay, so let's go back to the legs. Okay, so this time, if you feel comfortable, instead of having your hands on the floor, okay, see if you have your hands kind of up towards the ceiling. Okay, once again, just a gentle contact, a gentle pressure of your lower back into the towel. Okay, you can lift, once again, lift the legs out one at a time. Okay, make sure you can still breathe in and out here. Okay, and we're just going to do the kind of one limb at a time. Okay, so maintain contact with the tongue and your lower back as you tap kind of each limb out. Okay, if you feel comfortable, you can go a little further away, so it doesn't have to be too far, it can be just here. Okay, but I'm still maintaining control of my pelvis. We just do kind of 3 to 5 times per limb at your own comfort level. So the goal is not to do it fast, and you don't even have to go too far. Okay, but we just pay more attention to what our spine is doing. Okay, any points if you feel uncomfortable, feel free to stop. So you might feel your abdominals start to get a little fatigue. Okay, as you drop down, maybe one at a time again. Okay, and shake it off a little bit. It should be just a gentle rotation. Okay, so we're gonna do this one more set, but between that, let's also stretch our leg a little bit again. Okay, you can play around to see what's more comfortable for you. So some people can be more comfortable if your back is a little bit flatter. Okay, so kind of explore, see what. So if you're uncomfortable, even just lying there, stretch it up, get back up, relax for a second. You can even go to a lying position for a little bit, if that's to give your back a little bit of a rest. Okay, so I don't want anyone to be uncomfortable or in pain. If you don't have any issue with your back, you can do a little bit of rotation just to loosen back up a little bit more. Okay, so you know your body. So okay, so let's stretch. Also stretch a little bit. So I think this towel is a little bit too thick for myself. So I'm going to change it up a little bit. Okay, just make it a little bit flatter. Okay, so now let's stretch out the back of the leg as well. So I'm gonna still have one leg up, okay, and extend one leg. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are just going to lift one leg up until we feel a stretch kind of behind the thigh, maybe even the knees. Okay, and still maybe 3 to 5 times per leg. Okay, you can lightly press there. Have your arms on the floor for support. Okay, just to give a perspective, what we want as a minimum is that when you raise your leg up, your ankle should get past your knees. Okay, so when you lift your legs up and you can, it's hard for me to gauge, okay, but if you can only lift your legs to this level before it's very tight, that's probably a little too tight. Okay, we want to at least get past. So if I have a stick, I don't know if I can do this, but if I imagine a stick going straight up, okay, so I can't reach my knees, okay, but it would be the level, sorry about the noise, the level of your knees would be, we want to at least be flexible enough to get past that level. Okay, so let's switch legs. So you can, if you have both legs out, that's a little bit harder. One knee bends is a little bit easier. Okay, and once again. Okay, and at the same time, you can also practice your head press and shoulder press at the same time. Okay, make sure you're not holding your breath. Okay, holding your breath doesn't mean just not breathing. It could be just that you're bearing down. Okay, so be able to separate your breathing from kind of your trunk muscles almost. A lot of times when the back is not stabilizing well, we use a kind of a breath to compensate almost. So that's what you can imagine someone kind of bearing down, just say push something very heavy. Okay, so even take a big breath in, that helps you stiffen that trunk. Okay, but we also want to be able to do this. We don't want to do that while we are just doing kind of lighter exercises. It's only when we're lifting very heavy. Of course, we want to stabilize our spine as much as we can. Okay, but when we are just doing something a little bit lighter, then we want to be able to still breathe in and out. Use the muscles instead of our breath to stiffen our trunk. Okay, so let's just do the dead bug one last time. Okay, so we're going to do this a little bit more difficult if you want to, which is you're going to move one leg and one arm at the same time. Okay, so kind of get one leg up, the other leg up. Okay, still have a little, maintain pressure or maintain contact with the towel. Okay, and then the arms up. Okay, beautiful. Still breathe in and out here. When you're ready, see if you can just move one arm and one leg kind of away from the center. Okay, while maintaining that little bit of contact. Okay, with the towel. Okay, or in other words, your spine is not moving. Okay, while your arms and legs are moving. Okay, the further out you go, the harder this becomes. Okay, if this is too much for you, get your hands back there. Okay, or just don't reach as far. Okay, I feel a little bit in soreness in the abdominal areas, especially closer down towards the pelvis. Okay, when you're done, just arms down, one leg down, yeah. Okay, and relax. Let's check it off. Okay, I need to get up for a second just to check what time it is. I should probably be wearing my watch. Okay, so we just have a little bit of time left. Okay, so we're gonna stop here. Okay, so we're just gonna safely get back up again. Okay, so once again, just kind of practice for this time. See if you can rotate your body as one unit. So you can, if you want, you can have kind of one hand on the ribs and then the other hand just in the belly area. Okay, so see if you can rotate or feel, if you start to rotate kind of with your legs first, you can feel movement in the spine, okay, or shoulders first, you're gonna feel more movement. Okay, see if you can just rotate, okay, with your trunk together. Okay, and when you're ready, let's go back into kind of a belly down position. Okay, so let's spend a little more time here. Just spend a little time here. Okay, you can rest your forehead on your wrist or your forearm. Okay, just take a couple of deep breaths in and out. Okay, as you take a breath in, you should feel your belly pressing into the ground. This is also a good way to just practice your breathing as well, just because in this position, we can't really use our upper chest to breathe. Okay, we have to use our diaphragm. Okay, just to give kind of a heads up of what we might do next time to make it harder. Okay, you're gonna just get your arms out a little bit to the side. Okay, so your nose is probably very far, kind of very close to the ground already. Okay, and you're gonna do a head press just in the opposite direction. Okay, so you're just going to press your head up while looking straight down. Okay, you're not trying, once again, you're not trying to look up so much. You're just trying to press your head back so your nose is still probably very close to the ground right now. Okay, and you can kind of contract and relax. Okay, so second level will be the shoulder press. So you can try to just probably just even have your hands still on the ground, but you're trying to spread your shoulders apart. And maybe relax in between. Okay, but this would be against gravities where we are doing a head press, a shoulder press. Okay, quite a bit more challenging in a way. Okay, and then maybe we hold it for 3 seconds, or 3, 2, 1. Okay, and maybe we'll try it one last time. Okay, so when you're ready, kind of press. So your nose away from the ground, but still looking straight down. Okay, and kind of pull your shoulders apart, but try to spread out as well. Holding for 3, 2, 1. Back down, back down. Okay, and let's slowly bring ourselves back up to standing. So, probably slowly get back up. You might feel a little stiff. Go to your elbows first. Okay, kind of maybe wiggle yourself back into a control position. Okay, you can spend a little bit more time kind of round it slightly just to relax your back a little bit. Yeah, unless you have really bad osteoporosis, then don't go too far. Okay, I'm just taking a big breath in and out. Okay, when you're ready, let's go back into what we call control position, or just on the hands and knees. Okay, maybe walk yourself back to the chairs, or push it away, and somehow I'm facing the opposite direction. Okay, but still using your arms as support. Probably your maybe pause for a second first. Make sure you feel fine, that you don't feel dizzy. Back a little bit. Okay, and when you're ready, just probably your stronger leg up, or if you want to practice, you can also do both sides. Okay, arms and legs together, pressing yourself back up. Okay, and probably you can sit down for a second if you need to, if your blood pressure changed too quickly, if you're a little bit dizzy or lightheaded. Okay, so while everyone is just getting back up, I'm just going to move my camera again. Sorry for the changes. Okay, and when you're ready, just shake back out. Okay, so today we just do a little bit more of the kind of abdominal muscles. Okay, but the most important thing is still head press, shoulder press, a little bit chest a little higher without doing something like this. Okay, so this is actually how they test kind of your osteoporosis. Is actually they would one way is to just get you to lean against a wall, and they're going to measure how far your head is away from the wall. So a lot of people they become more like this way, and they won't be able to get their head close to the wall. Okay, so what we're doing is that get the head a little further back on top of the shoulders. Okay, get our shoulders a little wider. Okay, and then get our chest up a little bit. Okay, while still maintain a normal curvature in the low back. Okay, so and still be able to kind of breathe normally. Okay, so if your pelvis is a little tight, your shoulders are a little tight, that's going to influence your posture as well. So that's why we do want to stretch out the arms, stretch out the hips. Okay, so that's it for today. Okay, so still maybe practice head press, shoulder press, primary. You can add a little bit of the dead bug exercise to kind of a little bit of core exercise, a little bit of stretch out the front as well. So hopefully this is useful for everyone. So maybe see everyone next week. No problem. Bye. No problem.